Hello everyone and welcome to the tutorial of how you can do T6 Gamma Abyssals in a Passive Shield Tanked Gila. Here is the fit that I use. The high slots are rapid light missile launchers, a drone link augmenter that your drones have more range, large shield extenders AB and multispectrum, and drone damage modules, Purgers, and then drones. And for the drugs we use Crash, Mind Flood and Overclocker, and there's also an MTU. For the implants we use Nirvana implants. Slot 1 to 4 are high grade and 5 and 6 are mid grades. Slot 7 is shield management, which gives more shield HP. Slot 8 is guided missile precision, that your light missiles apply better. Slot 9 is shield operation, that increases your shield regen rate. And slot 10 is rapid launch. Actually it should be 1005 and not 4, that you get more rate of fire for your light missiles. For the drones we use 2 augmented Vespers for Ephialtes rooms, then a set of 2 faction drones for rooms where the NPCs targets your drones a lot, like drone battle cruisers, drone Frigs Angel, as well as standard Tech 2 drones also for those rooms. And then there are 2 sets of mutated drones. One is with the firepower multiplasmid that gives more DPS. You use these drones mainly against battleships like Deepwatcher, Karen, Overmind, Leshaks and so on. And there is also a set of mutated drones with the navigation multiplasmid. This increases the tracking and the speed of the drones. You use them against rooms like Vedmaks, Kikimoras, drone Frigs and so on, all the rooms with lots of small stuff. And when rolling the navigation drones you want to make sure that the damage is not red, you want to have it green. Doesn't have to be like maximum damage, but it shouldn't be red. Also it is important that you should only run faction rounds and never Tech 2. This is because the Minmatar drone specialization skill will no longer apply to mutated drones. It gets replaced by the mutated drone specialization skill. So there is no point in rolling Tech 2 drones, because faction and Tech 2 have both the same damage, but faction have more tracking and more HP. So you then get technically T2 drone damage with tank and tracking of faction drones. It is still something that a lot of people don't seem to know, because I still see a lot of people rolling Tech 2 drones, but you shouldn't do that, it's just a waste of a mutaplasmid. And another thing that I wanna point out again, because a lot of people tell that extender rigs are better than Purgers. But with Purgers you get more HP per second. Like with 3 Purgers and the implants and the rolled shield extenders we get 200 HP per second. If we swap them out for extenders we only get 146 HP per second, which is more than 25% less tank. Also it is so that at about 25 to 30% shield you get the maximum shield regeneration rate, which means that the effective HP per second is probably a lot higher at about 25 to 30% shield HP. Also you should use rolled shield extenders. Actually before the Gamma Waffen bus and with the implants you should have around 27k shield HP to be fine, so that after the 50% weather effect you get about 40k shield HP in Gammas. Also a lot of people also ask why I don't fit the heavy missile launchers to grab those extraction nodes, and this is simply because it doesn't have the power grid and CPU to fit it. This is the drone frigate room. There we just use the tracking drones, kill all that stuff, and we also fly to the extraction nodes if there are some when you have time, and then you can loot those. There is not much that I have to say in this room. This is the Charybdis Tyrannus room with drifter cruisers as support. You want to kill the null charges as fast as possible so that you do not get neuted out. You want to make sure that your invulnerability field is always on, and so you have to kill the neuts first. After that you kill the entanglers to keep them away from shooting your drones. And here, as you see, I use the DPS drone straight because those drifter cruisers quite a big signature radius, and so the damage drones hit them easily even if they don't have best tracking at all. I killed the drifter cruisers with everything on it until I hit the reload on the missile launchers. After that I just kill the remaining entanglers and send the drones to Karen. And while the drones shoot Karen, I kill all the remaining drifter cruisers with the missiles. Here is Karen, but with Ephialtes cruisers. Again, you want to kill neuts as fast as possible so that you don't lose your partner. And for Ephialtes cruisers we load Inferno or Scourge light missiles and use the augmented Vesper drones because Ephialtes do not have resistance, and the augmented Vespers still do more damage than your rolled damage drones. And here again I kill Ephialtes with everything until I hit reload on the rapid lights. Then I switch to the DPS drones, send them to Kara and kill the remaining drifter cruisers with the missiles. With one clip you should be able to take out 2 Ephialtes cruisers each with max kills. And when Karen died and there are still 1 or 2 Ephialtes cruisers left, I do not switch back to the Vespers, I just kill them with the rolled DPS drones. What I also do is to fly around so that Karen doesn't always hit you. Actually, if Karen constantly hits you, your shield should be stable around 35 to 40%. But if you have more HP, then it becomes easier when you get to the next room. So always make sure that you do not lose too much shield HP in a room if it's not the last room. Actually, this room is probably one of the hardest rooms for this setup. It is the Vedmak room. Here you want to kill starving Drekavaks and starving Vedmaks as fast as possible. You kill the starving Drekavaks first because their neuts cycle a lot faster than those of the Vedmaks. And you also want to make sure that you move in a way that the Vedmaks all activate the neuts at the exact same moment, because then once your cap is empty, then you can spam some heated invulnerability field cycles in between their neut cycles. Also keep attention to your drones, and if you see that too many tangling Drekavaks, shoot them, recall them and restart them so that they can reach the Vedmaks faster. What is also a good thing to do if there are no tangling Drekavaks is to just move away from the starving Vedmaks, because their neuts only apply fully if you are closer than 10 kilometers, and the further you burn away from them, the less the less they neut you out. After the starvings are done, I kill the tangling ones so that they don't get wet again, and then the drones kill those remaining Vedmaks, and they die pretty fast because they do not have any explosive resistance in Gamma, and the armor HP isn't that high actually. But this is the hardest room you can get in this setup. Here we have the Angel room, and in that room you have to pay a lot of attention to your drones, because the Cinnables and the Dramiels, they often switch to your drones. Here I always start with the tracking drones and kill the non-elite Cinnables, then the elite Cinnables, then the Furies, and then all the rest. This room doesn't do that much of DPS, but it can become annoying if they start shooting your drones. So pay attention to them, and after they have shot the mutated drones, I switch to the standard tech 2 drones, then to the DPS drones, then faction drones, and then back to the tracking drones, because when they're in your hangar they get shield back, and then you can keep them out longer. And you actually kill the Furies after the Xenos, because then your cap can charge up again, and then you have more cap for the next room. But actually in this room you should, even without the harden, you should not get really below 50% shield at all. Here we have the Overmind. Here I do a similar strategy like in Karen. I start the tracking drones, kill these frigates until I hit the first reload cycle on my missiles. Then I switch to the DPS drones, send them to the Overmind, and kill the remaining Frigs with the light missiles. And sometimes when there is a Spark Needle Tesseller drone, then it is possible that the battleship comes close, like it is the case in this room. And then it actually becomes relatively easy, because then you can scoop your drones up faster if the Overmind starts shooting your drones, which sometimes can happen. But if it burns away to one edge of the room, then you first keep at range at 20, and then you start pulling up transversal towards the Overmind, that it cannot really do a lot of damage at all. But even if the Overmind hits you all the time, then your shield should be stable around 45 to 50%. This is another very easy room. You just use the tracking drones, start with the Wardens because they web you, then kill the Fire Watchers and then the Sleeper Cruisers. But in this room there is not much that can go wrong, because they die very fast and they don't do a lot of damage compared to the other rooms. And this strategy applies to all rooms with Sleeper Cruisers, Sleeper Frigates, with the exception of the Max Ephialtes room. This is another room where you have to pay a lot of attention. This is the Marshal room. When you enter this room, you first want to burn away and kill everything that webs and neuts that comes close. So you start with the pacifiers, and then after that send drones to the Marshals and move away, because they only have around 70 kilometers range. And if you are further away, they can't hit you at all. But you also have to pay attention to drone damage, like in this case they actually started shooting my drones, so I had to recall them, move back in to send them again. And this is actually a really hard room with 3 Drainer Marshals, 1 Drainer Enforcer and some target painters as well. And once you killed some Marshals, you can start moving to the cache if there are only 1 or 2 Marshals left, because you should be able to tank that. And you also want to make sure that you do not get trapped, do not go into a speed cloud, and keep your speed up at the maximum possible you can, because if you slow down then the Marshals will hit you harder. And here we have the full Ephialtes room, and this is the room where we use the augmented Vespers. What is also a good thing to do is if there is a tracking tower or a blue cloud, you want to go in there, because then your missiles and your drones will apply much better to those cruisers. Here you want to start with, again, like in all the other rooms, kill neuts, then confusers, then entanglers, and then the rest. And here what I do is that I shoot with missiles and drones until they hit structure, and once they are in structure, send the drones to the next one while I finish the previous one with the missiles. And also if there are just a few lucid sleeper frigates, then I don't switch to the Valkyries, because if those Vespers are already out, they can kill them, and they don't have too much armor HP that those resistance don't really matter at all. And this room actually can eat up quite some time. If there are no blue cloud or tracking towers, it can take 6 minutes or even longer. So don't hesitate too long. Start killing them straight away if you enter the room, and if it's the first room, then you actually do not want to loot any other caches except the main cache, because you want to keep your room time below 6 minutes and 40 seconds. For rooms where there are a lot of Kikimoras, Rodivas and Drekavaks, the first thing you do is kill all starving Drekavaks that burn towards you. Then send the drones to the Kikimoras and try to stay away over 25 kilometers, because then they can't shoot you. Also pay attention to the overview and watch out for Kikimoras that lose your target lock, because then they start shooting a drone. And if that's the case, then kill that Kikimora straight away, and if your drone takes too much damage, then call it back to the drone bay and start it again. And it will always be the same Kikimora that shoots your drones. And this also applies to the drone frigate room and the drone battle cruiser room. There you also have to pay attention to one specific rat that starts shooting your drones, and if that's the case, then kill it straight away or recall your drones and relaunch them and kill it then afterwards. And for the Sansha Room, I actually had to record a past stream, because when I did T6 Gammas to record all those rooms, I just did not got the Sansha Room. But for the Sansha Room, the strategy is similar to the Kikimora Room. Send your drones to the neut frigates, move away, because they are slow and don't have too much range at all. And here you also have to pay attention to your drones, because fishers and trappers, they like to shoot your drones, and if you burn away too fast, like more than 45 to 50 kilometers, then it is also possible that the knights, hunters and the priests will start shooting your drones. So that means that you should not burn too far away from them, and this also applies to the Drekavak, Vedmak and Leshak rooms. If you burn away too far from them, then there is a good chance that they start shooting your drones. So keep that in mind when you go to loot the extraction nodes. So that were all those rooms that are the most important. There are not all rooms covered, but they are very easy. For example, Leshaks, Deep Watchers and so on, as well as all those drone frigates combined with Rodivas. What maybe could be a room that requires some attention are drone battle cruisers, but the strategy is very similar to Kikimoras. Send drones to them, burn away, and pay attention to those that shoot your drones. Now I'm done with the tutorial. I hope it will help you when you want to try T6 Gila out yourself. What I would recommend is that you start in lower tiers and then train your way up towards T6. In the description you find a link to a FAQ video I did a few months ago where I cover some stuff that I did in this video with a little bit more detail. You also find a link to my Discord server and to my Twitch, where I often stream Abyssal stuff, which includes this Gila as well. And you also find a link to the Marquee Dragon store, where you can buy plaques and starter packs 3% cheaper than on the CCP's website if you use my code Gustav. And you find forum posts with stuff about the old arena, which CCP should bring back, and CCP should also continue the proving grounds, bringing back those filaments because they were fun. And now I'm done with the video. Thanks for watching and see you all next time.